Welcome back to the 8:30 show. If you like our content, please feel free to like and subscribe. Uh I want to talk about how the government is acknowledging UFOs. Well, they didn't acknowledge specifically extraterrestrials. They just said non-human.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we saw that guy on the video.
Non-human biologics.
Yeah, because he was like saying they could build an aircraft and put a bird in it.
Or no, it hits a bird.
Oh,
The
and hit,
bird dies
yeah,
next to the
and
wreckage.
yeah, and it's a UFO because it's unidentified, and or UAP. I'm not calling it a UAP. Fuck you guys in that UAP shit. It's a UFO.
Whatever.
That's where I'm from. I'm from the UFO. So
And then the bird would be non-human
non-human. Yeah.
biologics.
So he made a great point with that.
Yeah.
Because they're not saying they're the only people saying that they're not of this world is David Grush, which I already spoke on how I feel about what he's saying, and Dr. Greer, he said what he said.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked a few people that I know, like, how do you feel about this whole, aliens thing? And one person told me that their religion will not allow them to acknowledge this, which
Which religion are they?
I did not ask because I don't really care about
No, I
that.
get it. I'm just
No, I know.
curious.
I'm just saying I don't really care about the religion, like what religion they practice. That's their business. I was curious. I was curious to know what their thoughts were on that and how they felt about it. And a few other people, like people in their 70s, were like, I think it's interesting because it's been going around for so long. And the fact that they're finally acknowledging it just, it says a lot about humanity and that we're moving forward. And I kind of laugh because this same, these older people, they got to see all these different things. One of them is in her 90s and she was, she's seen a lot for her lifetime, and this is something she thought that she'd never see in her lifetime, and she found it interesting and she does believe in it, because she, like, I believe that there's no way that we can be the only beings in this universe. So I found that interesting. And then one other person said that how much are they going to allow us to know? And that I found that interesting because it's like everybody knows that the government is controlling the narrative here, and they've been controlling it since they've been discovered, UFOs, aliens, whatever. And he's like, how much are they going to let us know? How much are they going to tell us? Are they going to have to like invade us in order for us to acknowledge them? And then I talked about, the false flag and all of that. And he said, I hear you on the false flag thing. He goes, and eventually we'll find out they're fucking robots. And I thought that was hilarious when he said that. He was like, we're going to go out there and we're going to beat them up and they're going to, laser beam us and stuff. And he's like, and they're going to be, we're going to hit them and somebody's going to knock their head off and we're going to realize these are fucking robots and the government's been outed. And I was like, well, that's interesting, that he said that. And I said, what makes you think that? He goes, I just don't trust the government. And he's not alone. And this is a conservative person. He owns his own business, a very good business. He makes a lot of money and he's got a lot of employees and he's a great person. And he knows, but he doesn't voice these opinions because he thinks no one cares. And then when he does, people look at him like, you fucking kook, because everybody looks at people like that when you talk paranormal, when you talk about any kind of extraterrestrial, like they look at you like you're fucking nuts. And I feel like that sometimes when I talk about it to people, with people, that they look at me like I'm fucking, this bitch is crazy. This bitch is crazy. And maybe I am crazy, but I believe what I believe. And, you know, I've seen a lot and I've done my research on quite a few things, a deep dive. And I believe that we're not alone here. And I also think that the veil is very, very, very thin. And that's why we're seeing a lot of different things now. Do I believe in fairies? Yeah, because at some point in time in life, maybe this dimension, or maybe the next, they exist. I They came from somewhere. They popped in someone's mind, just like the unicorn. The unicorn's real.
Yeah. That's interesting that these people are that you talk to, um, they're
Yeah.
acknowledging it, and it's interesting that the government is actually doing these disclosure hearings in public because they haven't been doing them before in public. Kind of been a smoke and mirrors, swamp gas type of thing, and
Yeah.
I think it's becoming so much in the public eye as far as awareness that it's becoming one of those situations where they can't continue to just sweep it under the rug. They have to start doing these type of things in these hearings. But how many of them even know anything? How many of them even have clearance to know anything?
Yeah.
Is that's the other thing. But at least it's bringing more and more awareness. And part of that, I have to say, is from the series Ancient Aliens. I feel like once that show came
Excuse me.
out as a show, not just I think it was like a
That's my show.
two part mini series or whatever when it first came out.
Yeah.
But once that show finally became a thing, um, I feel like it just a lot of people just watched it and made them go like, what if? Because the show is all based on what ifs. It's not saying 100% fact. This is what it is. It's
Yeah.
saying, well, look at this, and you tell me what you see based on what you're looking at, not knowing anything at all. Like the I think it's from Peru, the little gold airplane looking medallions. And it's like, okay, if I showed you this
Yeah.
right now, what would you call this? And people would be like, oh, it's an airplane. Okay, well, guess what? This is from a time when airplanes didn't even exist, from a civilization that didn't
Yeah.
even know that an airplane could exist.
Yeah.
And they called it a bird. Would you consider this a bird? And you're looking at it like, well,
No.
no.
It
I
looks like an
It looks
airplane.
like an airplane. You know, they start breaking down these ancient ruins, and they're like, how did they create this? How how are they able to do this when our current modern technology would have extreme difficulty to get this type of precision in this craftsmanship? Not saying that we can't do it, not saying that it couldn't be done or impossible. It's just how could they do it if we, a modern society, can't even do it? And then they go on, and I like when they start breaking down the ancient codex from all the different civilizations, and they look at biblical works, and then they look at Sumerian works, and all these Hindu and all these different doctrine, and they start piecing together these stories across these different um, cultures.
Yeah.
And then they go into like the Mayan and Aztec
My
cultures,
people.
and they're like, okay, we know that these people on this side of the planet, um, they had this. How are these people on this side of the planet who had no contact with these people at the time that this was built? Hold on. How did they build this the same as they built it? And they just start putting these
I
things
hear you on
together.
that part, but let me just say this about that.
What?
Okay. I just sounded like Jeff. Let me say this about that.
Okay.
Um,
What you got to say?
how do they know? Were they there? How do they know that they didn't go? How do they know there was no communication? That's my thing. You don't know. You have no idea. Hold on, because you have people who everyone is intrigued by something, and everyone is their interest is piqued. And there's explorers regardless of how smart they we think they were or whatever. What's to say that someone from my people didn't jump on a boat and sail the oceans to the next land?
Well, that's
And
not.
hold on,
Hmm.
and say, well, this is what we got. Let me show you how to build it. You know what I'm saying? And we're talking about ages ago. So how are you supposed to track that? We don't even have information on the originality of the human being other than scientists coming up with theories. No one has the actual plan, although
I don't know what you mean
molten.
by that.
What do you mean?
The actual plan. I don't.
Oh, how we came to exist, how we came about, because the Bible ain't it.
Well, regardless of the Bible, um, and I just want to swing back real quick
Yeah,
to that.
sorry.
Um, Based on what you were saying, how do we not know? How do we know that there wasn't exploration
Hmm.
amongst these civilizations?
Yes.
I don't think that they say that. I don't think that that's 100% true to say that they did or didn't. Um, the reason why they believe that these things haven't occurred between these civilizations, other than the the type of style that these structures are, is one thing, but how can I put this? I'm trying to figure out a way how to say this. So, like, you look at the pyramids
And how they're
in
built.
South America, how they're built is completely different from the pyramids in Egypt
Okay, so
or in
the
the Middle
buildings
East.
in China are
Hold
different
on,
than
hold
the
on,
buildings in the United States.
hold,
And
hold on,
they're
hold on. You're,
different than
I'm not
any
done.
other country. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that little piece out there
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of
yeah,
what
yeah,
you're
yeah. But
saying.
that's you're talking about modern civilization. When I'm talking about ancient civilization,
¿Y qué es la diferencia, David?
there is a difference. Um, when you're looking at ancient civilizations, the distance to travel from
Yeah.
one continent to the other, it's great.
Yeah.
You're taking a boat. It takes a long time. But what we're getting at here, what I'm getting at here is, yes, they had similar styles in what they built as far as they built pyramids.
Yeah.
The pyramids themselves were different, and then there's no real evidence to say that the Mayans and the Egyptians communicated because there's no cross artifacts. Each civilization, our modern civilization, leaves trash everywhere.
Modern.
Yeah.
You said it.
And what I mean by modern, I'm talking about going back as far as, um, you
Hmm.
know, Roman time. There's trash
Okay.
everywhere from then. That's still considered a modern
Okay, but
civilization.
what
We're talking
I'm
about something that's further back than that, and we're not seeing the archaeological information showing that these other civilizations were in communication because there's no additional material from them.
you're
Now,
saying there's no record of it.
correct. Now,
Okay.
I'm not saying that that isn't 100% true. We're just saying going fact for fact.
No, I get
There's
that.
not, but so we can't just assume that this is the case. Now, however, there are certain civilizations that share similar, very similar stories. So it's kind of one of those situations where they believe that there was contact, but not contact between the actual two civilizations, but like a liaison person that went and showed them these different things. And you had, that's why I said you have the Egyptians have their style, the Mayans, Aztecs had their style. Then you have the Japanese have their style, the Chinese have their style as far as how they're building it, but they're building the stuff similar, but the styling is different, and then the mathematical locations are exactly the same. So yes, I get what you're saying as far as how do we not know that they didn't have communication. We just not seeing the actual civilizations showing that they have been, in communication with each other. What we're seeing is stories about a person, a being going to these different locations and teaching them the same thing.
Mhm.
That's what I meant by that.
Mhm. Okay. Like,
I'm
is it?
done.
Oh,
Are
it's
you
my
looking
turn.
at me like
I'm still waiting for you to finish. I hear you. I always go back on the we don't know. We don't know. We weren't there. You know, there's so many years that things have been destroyed. Things have been stolen. We don't have records of. And there's been again, I have to say, there's been civilization on top of civilization on this planet, and it keeps being wiped out and restarted. So that's why I'm saying, like, we don't know. What if there is a record? We just never got to see it because with time it disintegrated. You know what I'm saying? And we're basing it off of the things that we can find, but it's not everything.
No, and I totally agree with you in that aspect. I'm just saying, as of right now, regardless of the what if, the fact of the matter is that we'd have no archaeological information showing that the actual cultures were connected. We're
No,
seeing
and I get that.
what they've been shown to prove is that yes, the stories are the same or similar as far as, what is this? This is a dramatization. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. That's what we're seeing. The names have been changed, but the stories are the same.
No, I
It's,
get that.
you have the flood story that came out of Sumer, and that's all through the planet that there was a flood. So yeah, a flood happened.
Hmm.
That is the fact that we know. But each major civilization is saying, yeah, the flood happened. Well, why did the flood happen? That's their part of their story. You know what I mean? But the fact is this, like, there's things that translate across these cultures, these stories where it's like, okay, well, why? I can understand that these things are happening, but we're not seeing what I've understand. Like I said, just repeating myself, there hasn't been direct contact between certain civilizations with each other, but there is that one part that says, no, this person came, this person did this person taught us mathematics and agriculture and all this and that, and it goes by this name. But then you have in this other culture the same person going by a different name, but it's not intercultural. You know what I mean? It's not all the people or this group of people from this culture going there and then they're coming back with these informations, except for when you have like the only ones that you really know about like that are like the ones in the Middle East, like in with Greece and Rome and Egypt, Europe. Those are the ones you hear. Same within America, you hear the different Native American tribes. They had interactions with each other. They're different civilizations or cultures. Same with the Aztecs and the Mayans.
Hmm.
You know, because they're on the same piece of land. You know what I mean? But we're not. I'm not. I'm not. I keep saying we're not, but I'm. What I'm saying is I'm not hearing that it's cross continental. I'm not hearing that the Indians went and met, the Romans, you know what I mean, or the Greeks, or the what do you call it, the Italians, you know what I mean. I'm not hearing that type of thing. Um, but again,
I mean, you don't hear about it because what if What if it did exist?
mhm.
Hear me out. But it was on an island that is now at the bottom of the ocean
No, absolutely.
because that happens on this planet. Um, Islands just appear and disappear throughout the ages. That's just what it is. No, there's no real, maybe now there's a real map because of technology and all of that. But back then, for hundreds and thousands and millions of years, like, who has the real map? They did the best that they could, but,
No, I get you.
so who's to say, like, it wasn't on some island somewhere?
The
I know
island of Mu.
it sounds far fetched, but is it?
No, I
Is
get
it
you.
really far-fetched? Look at all the records that they got rid of in what is it, the Library of Alexandria.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? You're talking about records that were destroyed. What was in those records that they felt the need to destroy them?
Well, there is.
Hold on, like that, but that's my point.
No, I get you.
You
And I get your
know,
point.
my point is that we don't know. We don't know. And I feel that other beings know.
Well,
And
that.
I'm looking forward to their book.
Well, that's why I was saying, like, yeah, I agree with you. We don't know, but as of right now, fact for fact, we're not seeing that in the archaeological records.
Yeah.
From what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing and what I'm understanding,
Mhm.
I could be completely wrong and completely talking out of my ass. But that being said,
Mhm.
everything that I've read, everything that I've seen, begs to differ. But there are some civilizations that have,
Uh-huh.
but usually when I hear about that, it's usually either they're on the same landmass,
Mhm.
um, or eh, eh, or not. You know what I mean? Or they're like what is it, the Easter Islanders? They went from one place and went to Easter Island. But then again, like you said, there's other things that other maps show different things and different continents and different islands. So,
Well, they were saying that I don't know if it was the Aztec or the Mayans, but they said that when they got there, everything was already built.
yeah, I heard that the Egyptians have said that as well,
Yeah.
that they didn't build the Sphinx or the pyramids, that it was kind of already there and they just took claim to it.
Yeah. That they
Um,
settled in because the land was
Fertile,
abandoned.
and the land was fertile
Yeah.
for civilization, to
Like
cultivate
Linda
civilization.
Moulton Howe, she said that she was given a document, or she was taken to somewhere. I don't know where, but she was taken somewhere, and that they sat her in a desk
Hmm.
and they gave her how we came about. They gave her the book. There was no year on it, there was no author. It was just a book, and she couldn't take pictures of it. She couldn't record it. She just could read it,
Well,
which I find interesting. Like, can I get a copy?
well,
I want to know where the fuck I want to know where we came from. And if we were already here, our people were already here, who is not from here? I have an idea, but I could be way off base and I don't want to throw it out there. But I feel that each land had its people, and now we're all over the place. But
well,
who's not from this planet, and that came into this planet, was dropped off and said, okay, good luck, and just took over.
as far as that goes, my perspective right now is this, and it hasn't been changed. Um, every race has come out of sub-Saharan Africa,
Mm-hmm.
and each race ended up. The different races ended up branching off when the planet was one large landmass,
Mm-hmm.
and once they branched off, humans as we are very adaptable to our environment, especially an environment like Earth that's conducive to our biology as far as that goes. And I feel like these branches of modern human Homo sapien, we all evolved in our own regions the way we evolved. Uh, I feel like uh, black people in sub-Saharan Africa became darker because of the sun. White people, they changed, they mutated because of lack of sun. And then you can kind of trace this lineage.
Where is the lack of sun on this planet?
What I mean by lack of sun, I mean it wasn't as bright as the sun wasn't as vibrant as it is in sub-Saharan Africa. You can go and see Europe like that. Europe is a very overcast place. I mean, I don't know about now because of climate change and things are changing with the climate. And I want to say this real quick about climate change. It's not that the Earth is going to heat up and blow up. What's happening is different regions are experiencing climate changes. So yeah, droughts happen in this region where it used to not,
Mm,
and now in this region
the
where it
Earth is
did.
gonna fix it. The Earth, not us.
After we
Cause
leave,
no, no, no. The Earth is gonna fix it like it always does. The Earth is alive. I mean, let's be honest. The Earth is alive. It's its own being. You know, it has its own systems. It lives and breathes. You know, just not in the our fashion, but it exists and it has a pulse, and it's gonna fix itself because we're the fucking plague here on this planet. We've taken over and we don't care about this planet. I went to Hawaii. We went to Hawaii.
hold on.
Hold on. No,
Before you
no,
get
no.
into
I
that,
gotta.
I wasn't done what I was
Sorry.
trying to say.
Sorry. Hawaii. Let's take it back to Hawaii.
um, and over the course of time, and landmass has changed,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
people got separated because of the great bodies of water that
Mhm.
separated the landmass.
Mhm.
Over that time, people changed and it evolved to their environments that they live in,
Yeah.
and that's why certain people look one way, some people look a different way. It's
Yeah.
all regional based on the environment that they came from, that their ancestors came from. Now, the question I always find interesting goes back to before that happened. If we're going to believe Darwin in evolution
Mhm.
and how we evolved, how do we evolve? How do we get that jump in our evolution? And the reason I say this is because if we're supposed to have evolved from primates,
Mhm.
why are there still primates?
Maybe because we didn't evolve from them. Maybe because they use that DNA.
That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
If we evolved from primates, how come we don't see
And then we got that
evolution in
missing
other
piece in the brain. We have that gap in the brain where there used to be something there. That's scientifically or scientific fact. We have a piece in our brain that's missing, either missing something or waiting for that to be installed. Like we're
well,
computers.
I mean, again, we've extremists. Again, uh, they just realized that in the Bible, in the biblical text, um, take that for whatever you want to take it for. People used to live for thousands, 600, 700, 800,000 years.
Yeah.
Um, and then when things changed, we no longer could live that long. They
Mhm.
just realized that through genetic testing and experimentation that we have telomeres that have caps on them that keep our age to a certain amount of time. So it's kind of like the Bible did tell us that this happened, and now we have the scientific fact to back it up that yes, we have these things that keep us from continuing to live after a certain amount of time.
Well, it doesn't help that we eat garbage and
But
that they
that's
feed
besides
us
the point.
garbage.
That's besides the point. Even if you ate the most healthiest of diets, and all you ate was natural, raw, organic, whatever, you still you will live if your
A
life,
hundred, you may live 100
yeah, if
years.
your life was
No, I
you
get
were
that.
safe throughout life and everything was great,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you still wouldn't live to the
Well,
extents that
maybe
they
they
say in the
did it
Bible.
to speed it up.
I don't know. I don't know. They say that once we started making food with fire, that sparked brain activity in the higher levels.
Mm,
But I don't know. I mean,
interesting.
there's a lot of animals on this planet that I look at that I wonder how come we've evolved into what if again if we're going to believe Darwin, why did we evolve to what we've become as Homo sapien? Why hasn't dolphins done anything? Why haven't octopus, which I believe aren't even from this planet? Um,
Well, octopus, they've
yeah.
said that they're not,
Um, why
which is
haven't
interesting.
why haven't other great
Like they even
apes?
shapeshift
Yeah.
and change color, which again, interesting.
Why haven't any other subset of the great apes turned into something different. I know, like some of the, I forgot which great.
Because like
Hold
I
on, hold on,
said,
hold on. I know that there's one of the great apes, or one of the primate species. They're starting. They're considered to be in a stone age
Mhm.
because they're using simple tools. But like we don't see any real.
evolution.
Yeah.
I get that. And that's why I was saying what I was saying. Like, you know, where did we come from? How did this happen? I want to read the book because theories aren't helping. Theories are just theories, it's
Hmm.
not fact. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to read what Linda Moulton Howe wrote or read because she read something that basically said where we came from.
Hmm.
I want a copy of that.
So I believe,
But hold on.
regardless of all that, I
Mhm.
believe that we were at some point in time genetically manipulated.
Yeah, I believe that. I do.
Whether you want to call it aliens, you want to call it God, you want to call it angels, I think something happened to our species,
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
happened and changed us into
So
this.
I wanted to. I was talking about the Earth and how we treat it like trash,
Hmm.
and I want to talk about how we went to Hawaii. We went to Hawaii in 2019
Hmm.
for family stuff, whatever. And we didn't really get to do a lot of touristy things because of what the situation was. But the few moments we
Yeah.
had that were for us to kind of check out the island and see it, we were in Honolulu, and it's so beautiful. It everywhere you turn, it's gorgeous. We stayed in Waikiki, and we got to go to North Shore,
Hmm.
and we went to the beach in North Shore. And it was, I was amazed how they treat the island. They treat the island with respect. They love their island. They love their people. And every time I tell somebody this, they kind of look at me funny because it's a stupid thing to say. But if you're from any of the coastal states in the United States, go to the bathroom on a beach and it smells like hell and it looks like fucking hell because everybody under the sun has gone
And
and
peed on the wall.
no, peed on the wall, pooped or whatever, but there's graffiti everywhere.
Yeah.
There's toilet paper. Like, I don't understand people that just grab toilet paper and throw it and just like waste it. I don't get people like that do that in the bathroom. Like, what's wrong with you? You ain't got no home training. Like, what's wrong with you? Who
Obviously
does
not.
that kind of shit? You know what I mean? Somebody obviously with some instability, but in Hawaii, their bathrooms on the beach are clean. They don't even smell bad. At least where we went, it
Hmm.
was clean. And I'm like, this is how it should be, even though it ain't. But this is how it should be and how they take care of their island. They love their people and they take, of course, everybody's going to have their moment and no one's perfect, but they take care of their island. And we are destroying this planet. This planet is going to correct itself. And that means wiping us out because it's still going to be here when it's done wiping us out. And then it's going to start all over again. That's just how it works. So that's, for me, that's civilization. You know what I mean? And
Well,
that is survival. Earth is trying to survive. Meanwhile, we're sitting here killing it. And we could do things, and but that means we got to get rid of, laptops, cameras, technology, all that shit. We have to figure out a way to not make the air toxic for ourselves, but no one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck, and there's very few people that do, but they don't have enough power, and it's got to be a earth movement versus, a few thousand people movement. Does that make sense?
yeah. Ronald Reagan talked about that, and that's kind of where that's at.
What?
Ronald Reagan in his UN speech, the same thing I said about in our previous podcast, where humanity won't be in line with each other until there's a
A threat.
cataclysmic global event
Hmm.
that forces us. And I'm not talking about a pandemic. I'm talking
No,
about, you know, old meteor from outer space.
or a tidal wave that
Yeah,
just wipes out
that's
not
the
not
the flood part two.
not just the coastal areas, but half the country.
The flood part two, something like that will be the only thing that things of that nature would be the things that.
So everybody talks about end of times. Everybody's like, it's the end of the world. The end of the world is coming. I've been hearing that since I was 5, that the year 2000 was the end of the world. 2012 was the end of the world. Now, me,
2000.
I just said
I
2000.
thought you said 2005.
No, I
Sorry,
said
sorry.
2000. I said I was 5, and I've been
Oh,
hearing
I
that
zoned
the
out for
end
a
of the
second about that.
world, I said in the year
Got you,
2000,
got you,
it
got
was
you.
going to be the end of the world. In the year 2012, it was going to be the end of the world, even though I feel that we shifted to that other dimension in 2012, not that we, so yeah,
So is it every
other,
12 years?
I didn't say every
No, no, no.
12
I'm just
years.
saying, like, because I'm not saying you said that. I'm just saying, like, 2000, as we recall as adults, 2000, then 2012. So is it gonna be 2024 next? You know what I mean?
No, I get that, but no, it's just I've been hearing that it's going to be the end of the world since I was a kid. And everyone's got these predictions. You got people on TikTok talking about, I'm from the future.
Hmm.
Those are interesting. I'm waiting for the superhero people with their powers to come out and say, like, we exist.
I'm waiting for one of those videos to at least be right on one thing.
One thing, yeah, for sure.
Because they make some grandiose claims, and it's
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, I was
But
here, and that didn't happen.
so if anyone's ever watched any kind of like, future time travel
Prediction.
movie, you know that once you say it, everything changes because there's going to be that one person is like, no, I'm not going to let this happen. Like, look at The Flash. Spoiler alert. Look at The Flash. We watched the movie, and I'm going to say it was a great movie. But he went through time and to save his mother, and he ended up changing everything. And he ended up in a different time, like a different dimension, and meeting himself and all this and that. But like, you mess with, like, even like these people on TikTok talking about they're from the future, and they're telling us all these things that is, we've changed time because they've told us what's going to happen, so now someone's going to do something about it, who's in the know,
Yeah.
and now they've changed the future. So
What is
now
it? The
the
butterfly
future,
effect.
yeah. So the future's not written, but
It's written, but it's not written. It can be affected.
it can, yeah. So, um,
It's a bowl of spaghetti. But anyway,
yeah.
I want to digress and switch gears um, to a different topic where we were discussing the other day um, how these young folks are drinking the Kool-Aid that is being served up on in a holy grail cup to the youth.
Called social media.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's so bizarre. Well, it's not bizarre, but it's so hilarious that these children are looking at social media and thinking that
They
everything,
know.
yeah, that they know that everything that they see is 100% with
Mhm.
celebrities when it's just a highlight reel. It's not most of it.
I'm trying not to laugh. I'm
Most
sorry.
of it isn't
Uh
even real. Some of it is like they got to do this for promotion, to promote their brand, to promote their album or
they have PR
music.
people, they have
Yeah,
managers,
they are.
And
But you
what if
have
they're not a poster? What if they're just like not into that, and but they're being forced to do it because they're celebrities and that's what they got to do to make that money, and they're just like, all right, let's do this.
or
But what if they're
or
just not about that life?
or they're not even running their account.
Yeah, that too.
Somebody else is actually doing it. Their marketing manager or people are running their actual social media accounts.
Yeah.
Um, so we were having this discussion, and this child of ours swore up and down that he knew everything about a celebrity because he follows them, he does his research.
Wait, let me tell you what. Let me tell you where his research
Let me
comes
tell you
from.
something. Let me tell you something.
His research stems of Instagram, TMZ. That's his research. Those are his places of research.
I love this kid, but that was hilarious.
That was hilarious. I didn't think you were going to step in because the conversation started with me because he was trying to tell me, and I'm looking at him like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, I know. That. I was like, no, you don't. You do not know this person. Oh, because a song got leaked
Yeah.
and he got very emotional over that. And I was like, why would you get emotional over that? Because I'm like the only person that got to hear. I said, you're the only person? He goes, well, one of few. And I was like, okay, so what? And he's like, yeah, he's like, he started like, talking
He
about
was fanning out.
yeah, he was fanning out. And I was just like, but you don't know this person. He goes, no, but I know all there is to know about him. And that's where that to me is very dangerous because you're over here thinking that you know something and you really don't. And I think that's so bad for these kids because they play into this whole lifestyle and how these artists and actors and actresses or whatever,
Hmm.
and they're like, oh, that's how I want to be, but you're striving for something that happened to someone else, and
Which,
it's not gonna, no one's story is the same.
well, not even that. What you're striving to be is what you're seeing
On
on a
Yeah.
social media platform, which may be completely bogus to begin with.
Yeah,
You know,
and you're not seeing the highs and lows
but but
of this person.
but you're seeing like these entertainers who are flashing all this money and this and that. They out here saying I'm balling, I got all this, I got all that, when they don't really know not what it took to get there, but what it's taking to keep the facade up. you know, you don't go into the music industry.
Like they're selling their soul to
Yeah, but
be
but
this
but what I
life.
but what I'm saying is like these fancy cars. Most of them don't own them; they lease them,
Yeah.
or they're being leased out of the um, record label that they're a part of.
Yeah.
Same with the homes.
Mhm.
They don't necessarily have a home. It's under someone
It's
else's
rented.
name or it's rented,
Hmm.
So, but they're saying like, "Oh, I got this, I got that, I got this." Like, I saw on social media a few months ago or a month ago where they talked about Rick Ross, the rapper, not the drug dealer, where he apparently spent 20 million on a airplane. And I looked at it and I go, I don't think he has a $20 million. So I go and look up how much the plane costs. And I'm like, wait a minute. Then I go and look up his net worth, and I'm like, wait a minute. The math ain't mathing because I'm not like the sharpest mathematician, but if your net worth says one thing, and I adjust your net worth based on what is being reported because it could be off, it could be more, it could be less. So I always keep that with the grain of salt, But to me, it's a good average. And then I'm looking at the plane. I'm looking at the type of plane. I'm like that, but the plane don't even cost this, you know. And he don't have this to for the plane to begin with. You know what I mean? But they post these things like this, and these I'm reading these comments, and people are like, they're congratulating him. What's great? Congratulate the man for buying a private plane. I get it. John Travolta has them. You know, other rappers have them. Great, or not rappers but entertainers. Great. I commend you. You've done good for yourself. You know what I mean? But it's when I see the false headline or the clickbaity headline of,
Yeah.
it cost him this much, and it's like, wait a minute, but your net worth isn't even this much.
But
How?
I've told this boy that this
It's
shit
all
ain't
the
real.
facade. It's the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, it's the Kool-Aid. You're drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, it's not
Yeah,
real. It is so unfucking real.
yeah,
And he really he sat and argued with me at first.
yeah.
And then David jumped in because he sat with me and argued about how I don't know. You don't know. You don't know. I know his life. I said, "Excuse me? So you know this man's day to day?" And he's like, "Well, no, but I know everything that he posts." What the fuck does that mean to me? You don't know this man's day to day. We have Dave and I have respect for entertainers. When we see them, we try not to talk to them. We don't want to acknowledge them because I feel that they get that shit all day long from people.
Hmm.
And we don't walk up and be like, "Oh, can I get a signature?" No, well, okay, let me take this back. Can we get a signature? But if it's RuPaul, I'm fanning the fuck out.
Look,
I'm just saying.
everybody has
I'm
those.
fanning out.
Everybody has those celebrities that they'll fan out
Yes,
for, and that's totally understand.
absolutely.
It's totally acceptable as far as me looking at it, and
Yeah.
totally understandable.
But okay,
But we run across celebrities all the time as far as that goes.
we
Most
live in the
Yeah,
mecca of
most that I'll do is, the salute, the head nod. Every once in a while, if I feel like it's an appropriate occasion, maybe ask for a photo, but I really don't care to
I don't
get
feel
one.
comfortable doing that
You know what I mean?
because they're human beings and they're just out in the world, and I feel like we should respect their privacy. And yeah, understand that they chose to be in that
Hmm.
industry and that people are going to go up to them and do that. I'm not that person unless it's RuPaul.
So again, you are that person. It just depends on the celebrity that you run
Yes.
across, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yes, but I'm also not going to interrupt his lunch or whatever with a bunch of fucking people. I'm not going to just like, "Oh my
that's what I said.
God,"
If the
like it's not
scene and the
happening.
occasion permit for it, where you
Yeah,
feel like,
if he's
okay, well,
walking down the street,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
sashaying down the street,
Strajay,
hey,
Shashay.
okay, like I'm RuPaul, oh my God, yes. But I'm not going to interrupt a meal or anything like that when they're like actually, and then even then, I don't know if I could, I don't know if I'd have the nerve. But this kid is talking about, like,
He knows the toilet paper that he uses.
man, that shit killed
He's
me
got a live
yesterday.
stream to
He
his
was
life.
hold on, he was saying, I said, so you would go up to him, and he's like, yeah. And and if well with if they're with their family, because I made a statement that we saw someone at Astro Burger in West Hollywood, and he was on Reno 911. He's been in a lot of stuff, and we didn't he was with his family, he was with his wife, he was with his kid, and we didn't want to interrupt that. We were there, we were eating, and we're fans, and I didn't want to interrupt his meal with his family. We saw him, he saw that we knew who he was, but we didn't get up and say anything because I feel that be respectful, he's with his family. Like, that's, to me, it's rude.
Yeah, if I see celebrities with their families, or if, like I said, again, if it's a situation where I feel it's inappropriate, I'm gonna leave it alone. But if I feel that it's not an inappropriate time,
Yeah.
and if I like the celebrity enough to want to do it, then maybe.
Okay, but
But
hold
there's a
on.
maybe. There's still
Hold
a
on. Let's go back
50-50.
to the boy, though. Let's back to the boy. So he's like, well, yeah, he's with his family. And I said, okay. I said, so what if your artist person is at Astro Burger having a meal with his family? He doesn't even see his kids. He don't so that would never happen. I said, excuse me? How the fuck do you know? Because his baby mama got on got on live and said that he doesn't see his kids. And at this point, he's over here like trying to checkmate me. And David's like, hold on. So this man's everyday life. And he's like, yeah, I see what he posts on Instagram, and I'm like, that means nothing.
Correct.
That
Those
means
highlight
nothing.
reels. Highlight reels.
So he starts going into what it means and, all this stuff. And then he told them, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. And he's like, I don't know what that means. He's like, I don't know what that means. And I said, well, my point was, okay, but I wasn't talking, or his kids are not the only family he has.
Just family. Period.
Family. He has a mother. He has cousins. He may have brothers and sisters.
A dad.
So if
knows?
you see
Uncles.
him at Astro Burger and he's eating with his family, are you going to go over there and fan out? And he didn't know how to answer. Because now we're not talking about kids. We're talking about family members. But what difference does it make? They're still family. So, he's like, and I was like, well, and he's like, yeah, I would. And I was like, how rude. How rude, because he just got through telling us that, of course, you can't go up to the Reno 911 guy. He's with his family. But I just gave you the same scenario for your person.
Your guy.
Yeah. And you're telling me you would still go up. And I was like, how rude is that? How is it that, hold on, they're having a meal and you just walk up to them? How is that okay? I said, you just made the statement about homeboy that he's with his family and it would have been rude. But when it's you, I said, that's you and that teenage shit. He's like, yeah, but you guys just don't know. You don't know him like I do.
Well,
I love him.
It's like the story that Dave Chappelle said. He's with his kids and his family, and he doesn't mind.
Moron.
Yeah, he doesn't mind. Taking pictures with his fans and stuff like that. But it's all within a certain kind of, I guess. I'm looking for a word here. It's got to be tasteful,
Yeah.
But these people he's eating outside with his family, and these people are walking up talking about, I'm Rick James, bitch. I'm Rick James, bitch. And he's in Disneyland. I'm Rick James, bitch. And he's like,
And that's the example that I gave him last night.
He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, what's wrong with you?
Don't you see my kids right here?
Like, I don't understand how people don't
It's not acceptable behavior.
have decorum.
That's the word I was looking for.
Like, you really don't know how to act in front of a celebrity, and you think that he hasn't heard this or she hasn't heard this a million fucking times
And is sick of it.
Yeah. Like I feel like Dave Chappelle regrets doing that shit, even though that's what like really set him off. He was great regardless. But that
took him over the plateau.
Yeah,
that was
because it was
the rocket fuel.
That was such a good series. The True Hollywood Stories or whatever he called them. Yeah, they were great.
That rocket fuel that took him all the way to the top of the peak.
My boy was talking about he knew this person.
He's drinking
he
all the Kool-Aid.
He would never hang out with his kids.
Yeah.
How do you know this, sir? Because his baby mama went on live and said so.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about? Come on. Okay, so if anyone older here is listening and you got young kids, teenage kids, and you allow them to be on social media.
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
You allow them to be on the internet without any kind of parental control. Ask them how they view these celebrities. Ask them if they admire these celebrities, because guaranteed we all did. We all admired them because back in our day, we had no social media, so we didn't know their day-to-day life. We only knew what like People magazine was saying and all these other magazines and what they interviewed and whatever. And that's the most
talk shows.
Inside Edition, and they talk about celebrities, or you got whatever Access Hollywood Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Yeah, absolutely. And you're only getting a piece of, and you're just like, oh, that's cool, and yeah, who doesn't want to strive to have a mansion, to have cars, yada, yada, yada. But you can't be that person. You know what I mean? You just can't. And I think that these kids nowadays are so far up in the Kool-Aid, like they want to be these people and
Yeah.
but they don't want to work for it.
They got the tall
They
glass.
don't want to work for it. They have no idea what it took for these artists to get there. And then apparently, I don't know shit. I don't know shit because I don't see this man's day to day, but he thinks he does. He doesn't. You don't. And I told him, I was like, you see his day to day? Like, you know what he's doing every single moment of his day? He's like, well, no. And I was like, then what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, but it's because I've done my research. I said, what is your research? Tell me what your research is. Well, I research on Instagram and I research on TMZ. No, you don't know this person.
Yeah.
You have no idea what this person is like. You know, but he's convinced himself that he does. And he's convinced himself that he does know. So I feel like people should be wary of that, you know? These kids actually think that they know these artists and they don't. I don't know Jennifer Aniston like that. And I follow her.
I don't
Do
know
I,
none of the
I
artists
do I
like
like
that.
her? Yes. I think she's awesome. You know, like as an actress, she's great. But do I know her personally? Absolutely the fuck not. And even when I meet her, if that ever happens, will I still know her? No, I met her.
Yeah. Well, I don't know any of
There's
the
a
people like that
difference.
that I follow when it comes to these full on celebrities. Um, I look at it as this is just me keeping up on the latest things that they're involved in.
Yeah.
I don't
And what
look
they
at
feel like sharing.
Yeah, I don't look at it as this is them, this is who they are, this determines their
That
personality.
shit fucked
This
me
this
up
mean
yesterday.
this means that I thoroughly are on board with whatever they're
And I was
saying.
shocked. I was shocked that David didn't step in sooner because we had gone a few minutes
Yeah.
into the convo and he's just like, no. I was just like, you don't know this person. You don't know this person. I had to give examples. I had to break it down and he still was adamant. And I was like, and David's finally chimed in and he's like, man, you drinking the Kool-Aid. I was like, he's drinking it. He knows the color and it's cherry.
Well, by that time I couldn't. I wanted to hear. I was just listening because to set the scenario up, we were watching the fight, and the fight that we were actually watching, where I was watching when this was taking place, was
Blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah.
the Serrano
That's
fight.
how I hear
I
it.
forgot the other girl's name. I think it's Haley. It was a female fight on the
No disrespect to the fighters. I just don't like boxing or
yeah,
MMA or any of that
yeah.
kind of violent
It was the under. It
sport.
was the undercard fight for the Nate Diaz Jake Paul fight. So I'm watching the females fight, and it was a good fight, good entertaining fight by these two women.
Mm-hmm.
And but at the same time, I'm hearing what's going on, and I'm checking in and checking out of the conversation because I'm watching the fight. So by the time I was like, okay, I could see really who's gonna win this fight, and now I'm like zeroing in on the conversation, and now I'm pulling up my targeting apparatus because I'm starting to hear
Some
BS,
nonsense.
and that's why I had to blurt out like, "What are you talking about? You're drinking the Kool-Aid. Like
Yeah,
that's
he
none of that
got
is
so
real."
offended too.
And
He
I,
was totally offended.
I don't mean to offend, but I've told him this before that
So have
social
I.
media is not real. It's a highlight reel of everyone's life. No one on social media, celebrity or not, shows the good, bad, and they only show the good. They don't show the good, bad, and the ugly and
They don't
dirty.
always show the good. I mean, there's some things that they don't show,
No,
you
absolutely.
know,
But I'm just
highlights
saying
of their life.
the things that they do show
Yeah.
are the good, not the bad or the ugly.
Yeah.
No one shows the ugly and the bad or the grind or what they had to do to get to wherever they're going, regardless if they're a celebrity or not. They don't show that. They don't.
Agreed.
Most people on social media aren't showing the things that they're going through on a day to day grind.
No,
They're showing it's a
absolutely.
highlight reel, and they're showing the highlights. They're showing the good times, the great times, the things that they like and they share, but they're not showing like, oh, I got my ass chewed out because I didn't do my schoolwork. No, they're not showing that. They're not even bringing that up. You know what I mean? All they're doing is, oh, look, I got the A on the paper, the test. Now I'm gonna go. If they said if I got the A on the test that I was gonna get some J's. You know what I mean? But they didn't
Some
show.
people
But they don't
lose.
show the struggle
No, but
before.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Some people lose weight, but they don't show you the journey.
It's a before and after.
Yeah, this is me now.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, how'd you do it? None of your motherfucking business. Just know that
Or
I did
or they
it.
say here's the plan that I followed. You can do it too, but they don't show you that struggle that they went through
No.
to motivate themselves to do what
Yeah.
they had to do.
How they thought, how some days they wanted to give up, how
Yeah.
some days were highlights for the day, like, oh my God, I lost this much or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't show every good thing in my life. I don't show much anymore because I am in a bubble right now and I'm happy. And sometimes I feel like social media is just bullshit and your own people want to judge you off of that shit and what you do and what you say and how you feel and blah blah blah. So I do post, but I don't really post too much about my life because I don't need people to know. Do I take pictures? I take a lot of pictures. I feel like I take pictures on the daily, I don't post them because I don't feel like sharing, because I don't feel like someone pretending to think that they know me, and they really don't. The only person that I think that really knows me now in my life is him. I have siblings and I don't think they know me anymore. And I have cousins and I don't think they know me anymore because I've evolved into something different than what they used to know. And not saying it in a bad way, I'm just saying like they don't know me anymore.
Well, we all grow and we all change.
Yeah, but
For the better or some for the good. Some for the good, some for the bad.
Still judge you off of your past, and I'm different now. But no one knows that because I don't post it on social media. I post, sayings and quotes and stuff like funny shit.
Memes.
Yeah, memes, whatever. But in regards to my life, I don't necessarily advertise what's going on in my life. And I made that point to him yesterday. I was like, you don't know my day to day. You don't know my everyday life. And you don't know me. And he's like, yes, I do. I was like, no, you don't. You have no idea what I deal with on a daily basis. None whatsoever. I said, just like this man, you don't know this man and his day to day and his baby mama and all this bullshit. You have no idea. What if, yeah, she went on live and the next day he squashed that shit?
Or what if she just went online to say that to stir up controversy and really he had his kids right there?
Right? Her album's coming out or some shit.
Yeah, she needs some positive support
like that's how it's played now. That's how it's done, and they'll air out their dirty laundry to get that promotion.
I need to stay relevant. My album's coming out. I ain't got nothing really going on, but you know what? I'm gonna say my baby daddy ain't doing nothing for my kids.
Bing.
And then people will feel bad for me, so they'll go and get my album or they'll go and get my whatever I'm doing. And then it'll work that way. I'm gonna hit them that way.
Yeah. So and we don't know people, and especially artists and actors, actresses, like we don't know their day to day. So for kids out there, don't believe everything you see on social media.
Don't
and
drink the Kool-Aid.
For the parents, I feel like it's your responsibility to let your kids know that this shit is not real.
That it's the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And you need to detox from it.
Yeah.
Well, I say on that note, I'm fucking hungry. I don't know about you.
I'm hungry and I want a new computer.
Yeah,
So.
I'm just hungry. So let's wrap this one up. This has been a great show, I think. Yeah. Good topics, good information, and
thank you for listening.
Sayonara. Oh, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you made it this far. We do appreciate it. Peace.
Peace.